and welcome to Sport This Morning. I'm Cecilia Omogbe.
Thank you for joining us again. I am Tayo Salam. All right, the day we've all been waiting for is here. The Super Eagles of Nigeria, they're in Freetown, and they'll be looking to get all 3 points against the Leone Stars of Sierra Leone. And according to William Troost-Ekong, the vice captain of the team, he says we're all going to see a very hungry Super Eagles later this evening.
So the hungry Super Eagles will be the one that will be hitting the pitch in Sierra Leone this evening, right?
Do you know what an hungry eagle looks like?
They
feast of everything.
All right, that's the program. While the Eagles are waiting for this game to qualify for the Nations Cup, now taking place in 2022, Algeria already qualified. Senegal were the first team to qualify, and Algeria joined them, despite actually giving 2 goals away, just like Nigeria. Nigeria's was 4, but they had 2 goals lead, with Riyad Mahrez having that spectacular solo run. But then Zimbabwe came from 2 goals down to draw the game. And at the end of the day, for Algeria, that also they qualified, because all their games, 4 games they played so far, perfect record until they got to Zimbabwe, where that record was actually dented.
Congratulations to Algeria. They'll be going to Cameroon to defend their title. Incidentally, the 2 finalists from the last AFCON have already qualified.
Number 1 and number 2.
Number 1 and number 2. Congratulations. Also on the show, the NBA trade season was barely 24 hours, Cecilia, and we have a big trade already. 10-time All-Star Chris Paul has been traded from the OKC Thunder to the Phoenix Suns. Cecilia, I didn't see this
deal. I didn't see this coming at all. I didn't see that. 10-time All-Star, a veteran point guard. But then, at the end of the day, this guy is off. He was traded, from the Rockets to the Thunder off-season, just last season. And then this season, he's on the move again, going to the Phoenix Suns. So it's going to be a great one in exchange for Ricky Rubio, Tyler Jeron, and Jalen Lass, Kelly Oubre Jr., and some other top big players right there. And their first-round pick in 2022.
Let's go to the basketball court now, Cecilia, where it's getting really exciting. NBA trade season. Barely 24 hours old, and we already have a blockbuster trade. 10-time All-Star Chris Paul traded from the OKC Thunder to the Phoenix Suns. We saw the Phoenix Suns in the bubble last, a few months ago.
8-0. They won all the last games. But they couldn't make the playoffs. When you're in Western Conference and you finish 10th, it happens.
So we were looking forward to see what they're going to do next season and all of that. And boom, this trade has just come out of the blues. Chris Paul, they call him the point guard. He's that good. One of the best playmakers in the NBA, even though he's 35 now, he's still very elite, still playing at very elite level. Anyways, the story is that the Phoenix Suns have acquired him in a trade with OKC Thunder, and in return, they get Kelly Oubre Jr., Ricky Rubio, T.Y. Jerome, Jalen Lake, and the 2022 first-round pick. All of these guys just for Chris Paul and Abel Nader.
But the good thing is Chris Paul will be joining Devin Booker, who averaged 26.6 points per game for the second successive season. So leading the team in that category.
That's a nice running mate to have.
Obviously.
To say that again. Anyways, we said at the start of the show that we have our guests from Texas, a basketball analyst, was going to be joining us to break down this move involving Chris Paul, CP3, and the Phoenix Suns and the OKC Thunder. Ayotunde Onobolu, basketball writer for B-Ball Nigeria, is ready to join us now from Texas. Ayotunde, good morning. It's great to have you on the show.
Good morning, guys. Thank you very much for having me. Cecilia, Tayo, it's always a delight to be on the show with you guys.
I know. Thank you for waking up to talk to us as well. Really appreciate your time.
I haven't even slept. True story.
Oh, really?
What time is it over there? What time is it?
I mean, it's about 10 minutes, 11 minutes past 2 a.m.
So thumbs up, man. Thumbs up, man.
Thank you. Okay, you know what? We're not going to keep it for long. Like in 20 minutes, we'll be done. No?
So let's go straight to it. Ayotunde, the trade, everyone is talking about it. First of all, how surprised are you with this trade, this move? And secondly, are they giving up too much for Chris Paul?
Okay, so actually, I was surprised. But then, after studying the intricacies of the move, I realized I should not have been as surprised as I was initially because you rightly
Okay.
mentioned in the bubble, the Suns went 8-0, right? But because of the heroics of the Portland Trailblazers, they were not able to make it into the playoffs. And
Yep.
you would think the next reaction of the coaching trend, the entire front office will be we got to make it into the playoffs when the new season comes. And how do we do that? Where are the areas where we're lacking? One clear area where the Phoenix Suns have suffered over the years is in the area of leadership. Now,
Okay.
leadership is a combination of what you can do as a basketball player in terms of your skill set, right? And how you're able to rally your troops to get the job done. And I mean, we all know that in the league today, when you mention the true leaders in the game, you mention guys like LeBron James, you mention guys like Chris Paul. They are in a class of their own. They know exactly how to get the best from their players. I mean, look at OKC last season. I mean, they didn't have any big names after Chris Paul, but with guys like, Chris Paul, Steven Adams, Danilo Gallinari, Luke Dost,
Dennis
and so on and so
Schroeder.
forth, Dennis Schroeder, they pushed all the way, made it into the playoffs, and nobody really saw that coming. That's the
True.
leadership Phoenix actually
I'm
looked
talking
for.
about.
And
Okay.
I know Chris Paul is 35, and the perhaps the better days of his career are way behind him. When we saw what he did last season, we know he can still shoot the ball. In
Yeah.
fact, he's taking more 3-point shots than he has at any point in his career. He still passes the ball very well. And perhaps the most underrated part of his game is defense.
His defense, right?
Now, picture a backcourt that has Chris Paul, the player, and more importantly, Chris Paul, the leader, with Devin Booker, who I feel has not received the amount of commendation and the amount
Yes.
of accolades he should have received simply because he plays in the desert, right?
Yep.
Consider
Too
that
bad.
backcourt for a second, and you can see that backcourt has potentials to be extremely great. Now, unlike last season and perhaps the year before, where Devin Booker had to create shots for himself and all of that. Now he has Chris Paul doing the facilitation. All he has to do is just get wide open. He's an excellent shooter, dead eye, get his shots up, and it's good. That's part one. The second way, or that the third way, because we've spoken about his leadership. Two, we've spoken about his combination with Devin Booker. Now consider his combination with former number one overall pick DeAndre Ayton. And I come to realize that prior to the Chris Paul trade, the two untouchable players in Phoenix were Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah,
And I feel
cornerstone.
like the best player, they could have signed at this point to complement both players and actually bring the best out of them is Chris Paul. Because picture pick and roll scenarios between Chris Paul and DeAndre Ayton. That's going
Exciting
to be
stuff.
unstoppable. DeAndre Ayton's offensive numbers will definitely bump up this new season without question. Devin Booker is just going to have fun scoring the basketball. They want to make it to the playoffs, and I feel like the addition of Chris Paul just kind of gives them the perfect opportunity to make that happen. I still believe they might still do one or two things,
Yeah,
in the trade to get stuff. Yeah.
Ayatunde, from everything you've said now, you've pretty much said this is a win-win situation for the Phoenix Suns. And you mentioned earlier the pick and roll situation scenario between Chris Paul and DeAndre as well. So perhaps a throwback to when Steve Nash and Amara Stoudemire used to do that to great effect.
Fun times are back.
Fun times look to be back. Sun is shining finally in Phoenix. Let's I mean, I think we said it all about Cecilia Jones.
Exactly, because I want to talk
Suns.
about Dennis Schroeder that is also moving. I mean, moving the other way. I mean, leaving OKC. You mentioned that OKC, I mean, last season they tried their best and everything. When you have Dennis Schroeder also leaving, I mean, the report that it's going to go to LA, that's the report. Danny Green, of course, will go the other way, and the 28th draft pick for tomorrow's draft will also go the other way. What do you make of this? Will that happen, and how well will it benefit the Lakers, knowing that, of course, I know Danny Green had, ruffled a lot of feathers, during the playoffs, especially in Game 5.
Right. I mean, Dennis Schroeder is a player I love so much because he's also one of those He was a perfect complement to Chris Paul in OKC. One of the reasons they had tremendous success beyond what anybody expected. Him going to Los Angeles gives another, creates another room for another playmaker, not called LeBron James. Because last season we saw that LeBron James took like most of the responsibility of playmaking and creating opportunities for his teammates. LeBron is getting older. He can't be on the floor for as long as he's been all through his career. They need someone else who can do the job of facilitation, and not just that, someone who can also shoot the basketball and who can hustle. Dennis Schroeder is the embodiment of all of that. So I think it's an excellent move for the Lakers, especially with, Rajon Rondo. He hasn't made any commitment to staying with the Lakers. And even at that, we know that in the regular season, we don't know the Rondo we expect. He shows up in the playoffs, but you cannot rely on that because teams are really shoring up and teams are looking ever stronger. The Denver Nuggets are not losing a beat in any way. There is big news probably coming in the next few days that James Harden will be teaming up with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving in Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Just put that somewhere at the back of your mind if it will likely happen, So you want to still add some quality to their team. And I feel like the addition of Dennis Schroeder gives the Lakers more depth, especially at the creativity role.
Today, if that deal happens, adding to the Nets, we'll get you back on the show because, anyways, let's leave that for now. Quickly, let's touch on the Milwaukee Bucks. They're actually making moves as well, too. They're acquiring Drew Holiday and Bogdan Bogdanovic from the Sacramento Kings. What do you make of this move in terms of trying to keep Giannis Antetokounmpo?
Now, the Bucks, it's two things they're trying to achieve. One, they want to keep Giannis. Two, they really want to challenge for the title next season. And Drew Holiday, in my opinion, is one of the best two-way, one of the best, wing players in the game. He plays as a point guard. He can also play as a shooting guard. And he's probably one of the best defenders in that role. And I feel like adding him to the Bucks creates another opportunity for a new playmaker who will facilitate the offense and give Giannis some space to do exactly what he likes to do so well. And adding Bogdanovic from the Sacramento Kings, that's incredible. That's a dead-eye shooter right there. Someone who can light it up from way beyond the three-point line. I mean, think of Klay Thompson. That's the kind of thing he does.
We've been talking about the NBA trade season. We've seen some very interesting moves. The Bucks acquiring some very decent players, Drew Holiday, Bogdan Bogdanovic. Let's leave the trade now, and let's quickly talk about the NBA draft, which is tomorrow night. And quite a few Nigerians are, looking to make it into the NBA. Let's just focus on two prominent ones, Precious Achiuwa and Jordan Nwora, who's played for the Tigers. Where are these guys likely to land? What are their chances looking like at the moment?
First of all, there are like 7 Nigerians or 7 guys of Nigerian origin who will be in the draft. And Precious Achiuwa is one of 3 of those guys currently touted by scouts to go not just in the first round, but to emerge as lottery picks. And the highest of such guys will be Onyeka Okongwu, who could actually go as high as top 4 or let's say top 6. Okay. Now, Precious Achiuwa will be going somewhere around perhaps between positions 11 and 14, according to draft scouts. But of course, we know that when the draft finally happens, teams tend to go for the best player available amongst the rest. But I feel like Jordan Nwora, in the eyes of Nigerians, is probably the biggest name there. Why? Because he has represented Nigeria, the D Tigers. He's represented the country. But in the eyes of the scouts, though, they don't necessarily see him as incredible as we see him, because of course we've got to see him play. So they are projecting he will be in the early second rounds. That would be the 30-something pick thereabouts. And why are they saying that? I mean, make no mistake, he's considered one of the best pure shooters in this draft class. But they say he's not necessarily athletic for a guy who is 6 feet 7 inches and 225 pounds. They expect him to be more athletic, and he's not a great defender for that position. And so they think teams whatever team will draft him for the responsibility just to create space on the floor and shoot the basketball. But at the end of the day, one thing I love about the NBA and about the draft is it's always a gamble. You never know who is actually going to hit the potential. You never know who's going to say, I don't care what you guys think about me. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show the whole world exactly what I can do. Michael Jordan was drafted 3rd overall. He became the arguably the greatest player of all time. Draymond Green was drafted 35th overall. He's a 3-time NBA champion right now, for defensive player of the year. I mean, Rudy Gobert was not drafted 1st overall. He's defensive player of the year. So you don't know. And I feel like it's an opportunity for these guys to take the negatives, especially those weaknesses that have been identified, and hopefully they land in great situations, because the team you land, the team you play for, the teammates you have will also go a long way in determining how much you grow. And I'm really looking forward to it. And I just wish those guys best of luck, But the name I feel like everybody should pay attention to is a certain guy called Onyeka Okongwu. Like I said, he's going to be high up there in the draft class. And I can't wait to see great things for all 7 Nigerian guys who will be out there.
All right, then. Indeed, we all can't wait as well to see where these guys are going to land tomorrow during the NBA draft. Today, many thanks for joining us on the show. Like I said, if that deal for Harden to go to Brooklyn to join KD and what's the other guy now?
Wait, haven't showed the
Kyrie Irving.
Kyrie.
Kyrie.
Yeah. That'll be ridiculous. We'll get you back if that deal ever happens. Thank you very much for your time. Now you can try go get some rest now.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you very much for having me, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Ayatunde Onobolu, basketball writer for B-Ball Nigeria, helping us break down the trade season, which is, of course, still ongoing. Many more trades will be made before the season starts. Cecilia, let's talk about...
interesting. All right. Talk about the Super Eagles of Nigeria. Yes, I mean, yesterday we were talking about you guys can react to. I mean, what do you think about the performance? And most people were angry. And we've also sent out the tweets. I mean, the scoreline. What's going to be? Is it going to be victory or something? You should be expecting something from the Super Eagles tonight. So you can talk to us on our Twitter handle. Just send us tweets. And, of course, we'll dedicate time to read that out. It should be nicer and better, like what we read out yesterday. I mean, I was like, what's happening here? I want something positive. Let's send out some positive energy.
Yeah, but the scenarios are different, because the other time they were reacting to losing a 4-goal lead. Now they're looking forward to a match, and everyone
so it should be more positive.
Yeah, optimistic, and we're hoping.
Positive vibes, positive energy, positive message to the Super Eagles in Sierra Leone, in Freetown. And, of course, you guys have been sending in your messages. We'll dedicate time to read that. Well, before that, before we do the reading of the tweet and so many other things, we should be listening to Coach Rohr, talking ahead of this evening's game. And after that, we'll have our guest, Bada, will be joining us to talk about the game today.
The expectations are to make a good match. We discovered here the conditions of the stadium, the grass, also the hot weather. The traveling was okay, a little bit long, but I think we can recover until tomorrow afternoon. And then, of course, the objective is all the time to win the game. We wanted to do the 4 points in the 2 matches to be qualified. It's still possible, and I believe in my team. I think we can do that. It will be difficult, like I told you already before the match on the last day. We saw it in second half that they have a good team. But we can play very well. We showed it in the first 30 minutes the other day. We want to play like this, our football. Playing forward, scoring goals, but defending better than we did the last day. They can believe that the players will fight for all Nigerian supporters and they will give the best. I think we are ready for this match. We miss Osimhen, of course, perhaps another changing in the team, but the players who have the honor to represent the country tomorrow will give really the best. They will fight until the end of the match.
Okay, now they are going to stay focused until the end of the game. That's a good one, difference from what happened the last time. But Bada will be joining us to talk about this and so much more. So we'll go straight to him now, right?
Bada, yes, is ready.
Right. Okay.
Bada, good morning. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Morning, guys. Thanks for having me as always.
All right, then let's just cut to the chase. And tonight, or this evening, the Super Eagles of Nigeria will be looking to redeem themselves, after what happened last Friday. The coaches, the players, they're all talking tough. They say they've learned their lessons, from that debacle from last Friday, throwing away a 4-goal lead. But for you, what kind of changes, if any, would you like to see today in terms of playing personnel and perhaps tactics as well in Freetown?
Well, when you throw away a 4-goal lead, the expectation normally is that there will be changes. The fans expect it. Maybe even the managers would have been upset with certain performances and would want to bring the changes. But I'd like to sound a note of caution, a note of warning. The game we're talking about was just a couple of days ago. So it wasn't a month ago. It wasn't last year. So there's a lot of pressure naturally coming from all of the backlash. The last thing you want to do is to disrupt your team so significantly in the hope of positively affecting stuff. You might actually be causing the opposite effect or impact.
Making it worse.
Absolutely. The team did play well in the first 40 minutes. I think we all can pretty much agree on that.
True.
They played well. They scored goals. So in fixing the problem, the questions that need to be asked must relate to the second half largely. How did we put our foot off the pedal or off the acceleration so badly that the Sierra Leoneans grew into the game and turned it around? And I think it was, for me, two things. First off, you see, I have always not been comfortable with the way our midfield is. I feel like when we're on the front foot, when we're playing well, it does look decent. But when we have questions being asked of us, we just don't have that solidity in the central areas, to mean that the defense is not unduly exposed. If you look at the goals that we conceded, yes, there were individual faults in the way we lost the first and second balls, the way some of those crosses that came into the box were allowed to be played in the first place. We didn't close our men down in the wide areas, well enough. The goalkeeper culpable for maybe not attacking a cross on one occasion.
Second goal,
You can pick faults here and there, but I think that if we're being honest and if we're being very analytical, we would realize that the midfield was non-existent. In fact, I think for the fourth goal, you saw how Alex Iwobi on the left side of midfield, very close to defense.
Give the ball away.
You can claim on the edge of the box.
Yeah.
Gave the ball away so needlessly, under little or no pressure. So lapse in concentration, yes, but that midfield has always been suspect. Remember the tune-up game against Algeria, and that's the reason we play tune-up games, just so that we can understand and see very clearly what the deficiencies are. And I don't think that General Rohr learned from those games. The way we couldn't get on the ball and keep it against Algeria was symptomatic of a deficient central midfield area, where when we don't have the ball, you don't have players who are hurrying and hustling and winning it back. I don't know what they do in training in terms of what you do when you don't have the ball, but clearly that's an area that the Super Eagles will have to improve on. And what makes it even more worrying is that this Sierra Leonean team is not the most creative team in the world. It's not the team with the best talented players in the world. So if we struggle so badly in the second half against Sierra Leone, you don't want to imagine what would happen when we play against, more talented teams. That midfield needs to be fixed. I've said it time and again. I love Alex Iwobi so much, but I don't think that he actually has what it takes to be the creative hub of the team. And you can look at systems and say, well, there are a lot of teams in Europe now who are no longer playing with the typical number 10. I hear you. But if you take Liverpool as an example of one of those teams, you will see that as much as they don't have a Kevin De Bruyne, they have in Henderson, Gigi Wijnaldum, and players like that, a lot of energy, players who can cover the ground very quickly, workman-like players who can win the ball back, and when they have it, they almost never lose it in terms of the precision of their passing and how they just keep going on and on and on. The movement, the quality of the passing, the accuracy, the precision of the passing. We don't have that right now. You know, in the recent past, you had players like Ogenete Karo Etebo. You know, a guy with a great engine who can go from box to box, who can harry players. He might not do the spectacular when he has the ball, but that energy in central midfield areas, you had players like, even when, I mean, he didn't play that much, but a John Ogu, a physical presence, energy, you know, in central midfield. Who, you know, you had an Ndidi, who unfortunately is not available now because of injury, you know, who can get around the pitch, who might not do the flamboyant, the spectacular, might not play the 50-yard pass to set up a goal, but will do, you know, the absolutely necessary in the midfield areas so we don't get overrun. So I think that those are the critical questions that need to be answered. It's not throw the team away. I don't believe that. I don't think that the team is useless. I mean, I've heard and read some of the scathing things that people have spoken and read and said, but that's to be expected. You know, football is results business. True. You can't be leading 4-0 at home and draw the game against Sierra Leone. No disrespect to the Sierra Leoneans, but you can't do that. If this was Brazil, if this was even Algeria, if this was Cameroon, you probably will be able to understand, even though you won't be able to excuse it or justify it. But for that to happen against Sierra Leone, you know, just tells you that we might be in all kinds of trouble if we don't fix the problem now. And I see the coach bringing in players in defensive areas, always testing in the attacking areas. But we haven't, in all of the testing, we can't point at one single player who can step into the role of Ndidi, who has proven himself competent to replace an Ndidi should we, you know, find ourselves in a situation where Wilfred Ndidi is not available to us at a major tournament. And that's worrying. For me, that is worrying. In the days of Sunday Olisa in the national team, you had a Thompson Olia who could play in that position. You had a Mutiu Adepoju who could play in that position. You had, even later on, a Karibe Ojigwe, who, you know, who just never got a look in. Those were players who could play in that hole, who could shield the defense, maybe not so much for their defensive capabilities, not so much for their ball-winning capabilities, but for how they can almost Busquets-like, you know, use their brains, use their heads, you know, to play in that role. And then Mikel is the biggest exemplification of a player who sits in front of the back four, who doesn't do the spectacular, but because of the intelligence of the decision he's making, because of how he's able to break up play, read the game intelligently, he becomes the most important player on the pitch in the way that he's able to relieve pressure from his team and just keep the team ticking. Look at Busquets. It's not the most physical specimen you'll find. You know, look at even Rodri for Manchester City. It's not all action, physical, you know. So you don't need a player who is all muscle, you know, who's able to bundle people off the ball, wrestle people to the ground. No, you only need a player who is shrewd, intelligent with the way he reads the game and what he does with the ball when he has it. That's what Wilfred Ndidi does for us. And for all of the experimentation that General Rohr has done, I'm afraid he just hasn't found that player who is able to do that for us.
Yeah, I mean, but from everything you've said now, that midfield is a problem area. And I agree as well, because when the list was released, and we saw only 3 midfielders and 10 defenders. And we're wondering what's going on. Are we that bad in that department of the game? But now we're starting to see there are issues in that department for Nigeria. But it's too late now.
Sorry to cut you.
All right.
Yes, it's been established there's a problem in that midfield area, but let's not gloss over the abject irresponsibility that we showcased in the second half. We lost almost every 50-50. We lost almost every
Okay.
Looks like
first and second ball. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable at international level. So you may have the right personnel. You may even have a Wilfred Ndidi on the pitch. But if the hunger, the appetite to go out there, the determination to win those battles is not there, you would lose football games. And the second half of that game last week was just an embarrassment, to be honest.
But I totally agree.
Players they were not committing to tackles. They were just, jogging and strolling around. You can't do that. No matter I don't care how good a football team you are. I don't care how talented your team is. If you do not go out onto the pitch hungry to throw in the tackle, to win the first and second balls, to be quicker than your competition, you will lose football games.
You're very likely to lose the game. Indeed, but attitude is very, very important. But we need to go on a break now. We'll still keep you for a little while. When we come back, we'll be wrapping up our preview of that match against Sierra Leone.
Yeah, we're ready. I think we just finished a good practice session, and everyone's ready for the game. No, we prepare like any game we've done with this team. We don't underestimate anyone, and I think if we can just bring what we did in the last game in the first half and make sure that we keep concentrated and see out the game, I think we have a very good chance to do what we need to do. We used everything, we're Africans. We've been in Asaba, we've been in Benin, in Uyo. This pitch is like any other pitch you'll get in Africa, so it's no surprise for us, and we're going to be ready to face them on there. That they're going to be seeing a team that's very hungry to get the win here. We want to qualify as soon as possible, and if it's up to us, we'll do it tomorrow.
Super Eagles defender talking and promising Nigerians that they're going to see hungry Super Eagles later today against Sierra Leone. That's going to be in Freetown. Incidentally, that's what Bada was talking about before we went on that break. They've got to show serious fight. They've got to show serious hunger. They can't afford to be losing 50-50 balls, against the Leon Stars. Bada, you're still with us. Before we let you go quickly, I know you've said you're not really interested, you're not in favor of making wholesale changes, but surely we're likely to see some personnel moves on the part of the coach. I'm looking at the goalkeeping department, and I'm looking at the strikers department as well too. Osimhen is out, and should he stick with Okoye in goal?
Well, Okoye was very culpable for the concession of the second goal. The cross that came into the box should have been dealt with. He was hesitant, didn't quite make up his mind on what to do. But he's a young goalkeeper. He's still learning, and the last thing you want to do is to destroy his confidence by yanking him off. But again, it's a call that the manager has to make. If the guy is not quite in the right frame of mind because of the backlash or the nightmares he's had since Friday, then in the interest of the team and himself, he probably should play Akpeyi. So I won't be surprised at all if Akpeyi steps in just because the manager wants to protect the player. Or maybe Okoye starts because he wants to back him and give him one chance to redeem himself. So we'll see. It's quite interesting what can play up in that particular area. I think if I have a major concern with the Super Eagles defense, it will be in the fullback or wing-back areas. I look at Sanusi play for FC Porto, and he's an incredible player. Yeah. An incredible player. But I don't quite see the same in Nigerian team. I think it's down to communication. I think that back four, and with Ekong and Balogun, who are the more experienced guys, they must communicate. And you could see when they considered some of those goals, the coach was screaming at them. They were screaming. They were looking at one another like, nobody to take responsibility. And the leadership in that defense has to be strong. Communication has to be strong. And between Balogun and Ekong, I think Ekong would be the more vocal one here. Someone has to be talking to those players. When they bump forward, when do they come back? When they bump forward and lose the ball, who in midfield steps in to cover the space up and all those things. And then in attack, I think that we may be seeing Iheanacho stepping in and leading the attack in the absence of Osimhen. Overall, I think that the Super Eagles will come to the party. I do want to back them. I believe that we won't blow Sierra Leone away in Freetown because they are emboldened by the second half performance in Benin. But I see that Nigeria would do just enough to nick this game by the odd goal, 2-1. I'm predicting for the Super Eagles away in Freetown. But those are the critical areas the coach has to earn his wages. In defense, does he keep Okwe to not destroy his confidence? Or does he bring in Akpeyi to protect Okoye at the time when his confidence is fragile? And does he maybe look to change Akpoguma, who hasn't impressed me on the right side of defense? Hasn't impressed me. I think in Ola, we have a solid right back who should be playing if he's fit, to be honest.
Okay,
for me.
All right. Yeah.
Thank you, Bada. But I know you can go on and on and on. There's a lot to talk about the Super Eagles, but we've got your prediction, 2-1 to Nigeria. Any kind of win, as a matter of fact, will be good enough, will suffice for Nigeria to qualify for Cameroon 2021. Bada, thank you very much for your time. Really appreciate it. Hopefully you get to join us again next Tuesday.
Thanks for having me.
Cheers, Bada.
Okay.
All right.
Let's quickly look at the fixtures for today, right? Okay.
Then.
Yeah.
Just Nigeria's group, though.
Nigeria's group.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You have Lesotho will be in action earlier before the Nigeria's game.
Group L,
Okay.
Arsenal
Lesotho and Benin Republic. Then you have Sierra Leone and Nigeria. Then the game we talked about, Algeria qualifying for the Nations Cup, becoming the second team to qualify after Senegal, who they played the final against, last time. So they already qualified. Riyad Mahrez mentioned him earlier. That sweet goal. But then, just like Nigeria, we mentioned that earlier, they were 2 goals up and they conceded 2. Ended in a draw, denting their 100% record. But the thing is, they have qualified. Okay, we talked about reading tweets. Okay, other results, Zimbabwe, Algeria, you have Botswana and Zambia in action. I mean, Botswana beating Zambia. When I saw that result, I didn't watch the game, but I was like, how did this happen? But somehow, the only goal came just 6 minutes into the game. Mosha, remember that name, gave them that goal. You have Malawi and Burkina Faso goalless. South Sudan and Uganda. South Sudan beating Uganda 1-0. So stick to long distance race or something. South Tome and Principe and South Africa. South Africa, of course, had the better one. Gambia and Gabon. Gambia beating Gabon 2-1. You have Aubameyang in that team, but then he just couldn't help his team. Mozambique and Cameroon winning by 2 goals
just having
to
fun.
nothing. They're having fun, so just using this as dress rehearsals, training, for the main tournament because they are hosting to win according to them. But Nigeria will be there, and of course we know that we want to win the Nations Cup. It's been a while, 2013, right? We need to get it back again. All right, that's it for the AFCON qualifiers and all. Before we look at the papers, we just tweet. Yeah, there's so many. Okay, I promise I'll take it. Okay, I'm dedicating 2 minutes to see how many I can take. Okay, I'll try as much as possible to take the much I can. Okay, Abdul Wahid says the Eagles must be hungry for goals and also watch their back. I see the Eagles winning tonight's match. Nigeria 2, Sierra Leone 1. Remember, the NFF president want them to win by 4 goals to nothing. That's the target. And HJ says the boys were gassed out in Benin. In my opinion, I think Rohr still doesn't have enough knowledge of the team to make a difference when things are not going well. Rohr's midfield is poor, irrespective of the result today. NFF needs to find a better coach. That's coming from HJ. And MD Special says it's redemption time for the Super Eagles. They have asked for forgiveness. Today's match will determine whether we forgive them or not. All the very best.
Nice.
And Boston says, I see the Super Eagles nicking this match, but in a scrappy win with a 2-1 scoreline. 2-1 is more common. Charles said, wishing the Super Eagles a 2-0 win. At least we no longer carry our calculators to qualify for tournaments. Rohr is good, but can do better. Thank you. Positive vibes are coming in. That's what I want. And Noble Flyer says, I'm a realistic and an optimistic Nigerian. However, football now is played from the bench, not talking, but that technical deficiency is there for all to see. But I see the Eagles winning 2-1. But the Leon Stars will come out hard as they need the game as well as us. And no nationality. That's a funny name, no nationality. Okay, where are you from? He says, if Rohr doesn't experiment with the midfield and defense, should be an easy win, provided his starting striker is in good form. Most importantly, the midfield needs to tick. Hasn't been working since the October friendly. And Gary predicted 4-0 in favor of Nigeria. He said that should be a good way to apologize to Nigerians.
All right, then that's it.
Okay, I need to take a deep breath.
Yeah.
Look at the papers, right? Thank you. There's so many. Don't worry. Okay, tomorrow I'll try to read some.
Through the papers.
Papers. Sporting Sun. Battle of Freetown. The NHL leads Eagles attack. Okay, Dennis is out.
Makes sense.
Osimhen returns to Italy, of course. Guinean referee will be the one to officiate. And Sierra Leone captain, he's suspended for the game. That's Sporting Sun. That's what we just look at, Sporting Sun. And Salah to undergo another COVID test. And then he has tested positive for coronavirus too. So that's two Egyptian players right now. So guys, be careful, okay?
Complete sports. I'm not 100% Eagles will win in Freetown. It's very, very positive stories surrounding the Super Eagles as well. What else? Rohr, we are in Freetown to book 2022 AFCON ticket. A win tonight will suffice. Lastly, Sporting Life. A lot of very interesting stories as well. Mind games, Super Eagles see hell in Freetown.
They had to use
mind games, very, very typical in African football. But they're used to these things.
They're used to, of course. They're in Africa, so get used to it. All right, thank you guys for watching. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm Cecilia Omogbe. See you again tomorrow, and hopefully we celebrate Super Eagles qualification for the Nations Cup and also maybe a 4-0 victory.
I don't know about a 4-0 victory. Anyways, thank you for watching. Enjoy the rest of your day. I am Tayo. Salam.